This is Montana This Morning.
Filling jobs in the health field. We'll take a look in Bozeman for an update on how healthcare providers are filling open positions.
The Fed steps in after the second biggest bank failure in U.S. history. I'm Jared Hill with why regulators hope this will stave off a more widespread panic.
I'm Joe St. George at the White House. More and more politicians are beginning to announce their campaigns for the presidency. We explore just how large this presidential field's going to get. Next.
All right, 6:27 on this Monday. Jane McDonald, Chet Lehman with you. Chet, it looks like a nice day out there so far. I know it's a little early to tell, but
not too bad. There's some snowflakes falling in parts of southwest Montana. Others just dealing with some cloudy skies. All in all, we're going to have a average or maybe even a little above average day today, and then things are going to change as we get into the middle of the week. Outside right now, not bad. Depending on where you are, you can see temperatures hanging in the mid to upper 20s to even some low 30s. That's one of those areas with some snowflakes this morning was the Ennis area. West Yellowstone's going to see some snow off and on today as well, currently 16. As far as the Bozeman area goes, your planner looks like it's going to warm up into the low 40s for today under partly cloudy skies, about where we should be for this time of year. For Butte, same kind of deal, low 40s for your afternoon. Could be a few snowflakes early this morning. That'll give way to that partly cloudy skies, and then we'll keep the 40s around for a day. Then we'll get rid of that and we'll add some snow, some wind. Details of all that coming up in just a couple minutes.
All right, looking forward to it, Chet. Well, following the 68th session's halfway point, lawmakers now get to work hammering out the state's finances for the next 2 years. It's a big task, with many vying for a cut of the state's billion-dollar surplus. MTN senior political reporter Jonathan Ambarian looks at what's ahead.
Thursday was a fairly slow start to the final 45 days of the 2023 Montana legislature. The Senate held a brief floor session on Thursday evening, and the House is set to return to the floor on Friday. But after that, action will pick up again pretty quickly. Out of 1,413 bills introduced at the legislature so far, it appears about a quarter, well over 300 general bills, failed to clear their first chamber before last week's transmittal deadline, meaning they're likely dead. But bills that appropriate money or raise or lower state revenues don't have to pass through the first House for about another month. The only committee meeting Thursday was the full House Appropriations Committee, continuing hearings on the DPHHS budget, as they tackle House Bill 2, the main state budget bill. Leaders expect the committee will take action on the bill next week to get it finalized before it gets a hearing on the House floor. Also up for discussion in the second half of the session will be proposals to amend the Montana Constitution, which share the later deadline. 6 of those proposals are active and introduced, with several more ready to be submitted. Any amendment needs support from at least 100 lawmakers to be put on the next general election ballot. So if all 102 Republicans vote together, they can put an amendment in front of voters. Of course, the legislature also has to sort out many policy-related bills that did move forward before transmittal, including a flurry of bills dealing with zoning and housing availability, proposals to revise election laws and judicial procedures, and proposals to implement charter schools in the state. We'll keep an eye on those and many other issues as we move into the final 2 months of the 68th session. In Helena, Jonathan Ambarian, MTN News.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. 6:30 now. Since their grand opening in October, the new Billings Clinic has been in the process of filling jobs at their new Bozeman location. Billings Clinic has had a presence in Bozeman for about 18 years, and like many other businesses, they are no stranger to the need for staff around town. MTN's Kristen Merkel spoke with the vice president of the regional operations for Billings Clinic, and she says they worked very hard for their opening to recruit openings and employees, and they are lucky to have 230 members of their staff, including physicians.
We're consistently trying to fill temporary positions with staff who live full-time in our community, and our goal is really to make sure we recruit and retain those staff long-term.
They say there are still a handful of positions that they are trying to hire to help replace temporary staff, including x-ray and surgery technicians. And the search for a new Bozeman Health CEO is still ongoing. The previous CEO of Bozeman Health, John Hill, stepped down in late October, and a new interim CEO was instituted on November 1st. System Board Chair John Howe shared with MTN that the search for a new permanent CEO is going great, and that they're going to start reviewing resumes at the end of this month and narrow down candidates by April. Howe is hopeful that Bozeman Health will have their new CEO by late spring.
The board's goal right now is to have a permanent CEO filled, hopefully by early June, maybe late May, depending on the schedule, and then we'd move forward with that.
House says there is a national healthcare expert search firm and a committee of 4 board members leading this process. And former President Donald Trump is set to make his first 2024 campaign stop in Iowa Monday night. This comes just days after Florida Governor Ron DeSantis visited the Hawkeye State for his book tour ahead of his own expected campaign launch. Meanwhile, President Biden will be on the West Coast this week where political fundraisers are anticipated. But as our Joe St. George explains, while the presidential campaign is starting to get very active, it may not be as crowded as in recent years.
A lot seems to be changing nowadays. The clocks just did flowers, and many places are too. One thing that isn't changing, the year 2023 just started. But when it comes to politics, it's starting to feel a lot like 2024.
Real wages are collapsing.
Former President Donald Trump is campaigning in Iowa Monday.
I'm thrilled to be here.
Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley is crisscrossing the country too. And while he isn't officially in the race, Florida's Republican Governor Ron DeSantis is strategically speaking in states like Iowa and California on his book tour. Meanwhile, President Joe Biden this week will be on the West Coast in part to raise money for his anticipated campaign. But one thing is for sure, don't expect the 2024 presidential field to be extremely crowded. In fact, it may be one of the smallest presidential fields in 30 years. In 2020, around 30 Democrats sought the nomination. The field was so big, debates had to be split up. In 2016, 17 Republican candidates battled. The last time there was 10 or fewer candidates was in 1992, a race former President Bill Clinton won. While Democratic activist Marianne Williamson has announced a bid for the presidency, most high-profile Democrats like Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont and Governor Gavin Newsom of California are staying out, clearing the way for an easy renomination for President Biden. On the Republican side, more candidates are expected, but not many more. Former Vice President Mike Pence could run. South Carolina Senator Tim Scott might too, as could former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin, and New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu. But a number of Republicans, like former Maryland Governor Larry Hogan, have already said they aren't running. Experts say one reason for a smaller field: we haven't had a current president and a former president both seeking the job in the same election since Herbert Hoover in 1940. One benefit of a smaller field for you, the voter, is the ability to better scrutinize the candidates. Debates will likely be confined to one stage. Joe St. George, Scripps News, Washington.
Now it's the early start of spring break for many, and many may be planning a trip somewhere in Mexico. But in the wake of recent violence where 4 Americans were kidnapped, some may be reconsidering that trip. Thomas Hoppe shows us what the experts are saying to do before booking.
I'm here in Brownsville, Texas, one of many border towns across the country where people go over the border every day into Mexico to shop, to eat, and to even vacation. And after what happened in Matamoros, many people are wondering if traveling into Mexico is safe.
From the U.S. alone, there's over like 20 million travelers that go by air to Mexico. And that number obviously came down during the pandemic, but is expected to rise again.
Here on the southern coast of Texas, it's quite the normal routine for people living here to spend some vacation time in Mexico. Tourism is important to Mexico, making up about 8% of its gross domestic product. But after 2 Americans were killed in recent violence in Mexico, some people wanting to visit Mexico are shaken. When something like this happens in Matamoros, how does that affect traveling into Mexico?
Our industry, the travel and tourism industry, is always impacted by external events. So whether it's terrorism or it's kidnapping or it's bombing or war or any kind of unrest, because when you're leaving home and you're traveling to a different destination, anything that puts fear in the minds of people is going to impact travel.
The U.S. State Department describes violent crime in Mexico as widespread and warns that the U.S. has, quote, limited ability to provide emergency services to U.S. citizens. The U.S. site states 6 states in Mexico as places Americans should not travel, including the state where Matamoros is located, Tamaulipas. It lists 7 states where Americans should reconsider traveling to, including Jalisco, known for Puerto Vallarta, though tourists are not typically the targets in gang conflicts. One area of Mexico to be aware of, the Quintana Roo area that includes Cancun. The U.S. consulate is warning tourists of a clash between taxi drivers there and car services such as Uber and Cabify. Those turf clashes have occasionally turned violent, and Americans have been injured.
When something like this happens, I think a lot of people are trying to figure out, is it safe for me to go to Cancun?
Other popular destinations, like you just mentioned, Cancun, they're very safe, because they're within a controlled environment, and so I don't expect this particular incident that took place on the border to really have an impact on those destinations like Cancun.
This recent episode that happened in Matamoros will affect my business.
But for travel agencies like Joe Liston's Go With Joe, some people have already started to change plans.
We've already received one cancellation, and we certainly are not getting anybody new that wants to go on the next trip that I have. Basically, what I tell them when they ask me, is it safe? I tell them it's as safe as anywhere in the world if you respect the people and you're not into drugs. If they're into drugs, I do not want them on my bus, ever, because I don't want any problems. I've never had a problem. I don't want a problem.
Experts say research and planning is crucial during these times, and staying alert to your surroundings wherever you travel. Thomas Hoppo, Scripps News, Brownsville, Texas.